Hello everybody, my name is Blue and today we are back on Kurak Educational Park, and well, today is a bit of a different one since we are building for an animal, but the focus isn't about the animal. By the way, the animal that we are building for is the Dama Gazelle. It's an interesting pick for an animal in the pack, but I'll talk about that later in the video. But yeah, this episode will be about a diner. I think that's the best description. I thought there weren't enough like restaurants or like places to eat in the zoo, so I thought this would be a good opportunity to add some more food quarters. So yeah, the Dama Diner is what this name will be. Dama Diner is just a place where you can eat in the zoo. It's obviously themed around the Dama Gazelle, and then there will be a Dama Gazelle enclosure in front of the mosque. It will look a bit empty because actually I have preserved the whole area, or like on the other side of the mosque, for another animal, probably the black rhinoceros, since it's like a big area that I have. But for this small area, we will be adding the Dama Gazelle, and it's gonna be a small enclosure. It's gonna be a square enclosure. It's the first like just basic square enclosure in the zoo, but you know, there are square enclosures in the zoos as well, so that exists. But yeah, it's a bit different. It's a bit basic, the enclosure, but yeah, as I said, it's all about like the eating quarter that we will be building in this episode. And as you can see, this side will look very empty and unfinished for now, but it will look finished in one of the next episodes once we add the black rhinoceros, just so you know. But yeah, the Dama Gazelle. Firstly, I was very like skeptical of like if I really want a Dama Gazelle in the game. It's really boring in my opinion, since we already have a Thompson Gazelle, we have a Springbok, and we just have a handful of ungulates in general, and I don't really use many of them. But I must appreciate the fact that the Dama Gazelle is actually a very endangered species. There's only a handful of Dama Gazelles still in the wild. Not a lot, like absolutely not a lot. I don't remember the number, I should have done research before, but I think it's like 400 or something like that. It's a really small number. So yeah, I appreciate the fact that they've added this. Just like, I didn't know this species existed before Planet Zoo announced it, so I really appreciate the fact that they're adding these species, so a lot of people who play the game discover these new species, you know, and they discover the fact that it's like an endangered species, and a lot of conservation efforts really revolve around the fact, like, recognition of the animal, the fact that we recognize the animal, because you have to recognize the animal, you have to know it exists before we can help it, right? So everyone loves the panda because, you know, it's a famous animal, and it actually helped because we actually saved the pulp. Saved is a big word, but we recovered the panda substantially. And you can't say the same about a lot of other species simply because they're not that recognized. And I think the Dama Gazelle is definitely one of those that people don't really care about, even though, you know, all animals are equally as important in the ecosystem. So yeah, I really appreciate the fact that Planet Zoo is trying to add this recognition factor to the game by, you know, these lesser known animals that are very endangered, critically endangered even, near extinction, and hopefully making at least a slight change. Like, that's the best they can do. Obviously, they can do more by obviously adding to the program by donating or whatever, but obviously that's not their job. Their job is to make a game. You know, it's not. Yeah, you know, you get my point. But yeah, I think it's a very nice way as a game developer or developers, obviously, to add some recognition to these species. But yeah, the actual enclosure itself is inspired by a zoo in Belgium called Paradise. I get a lot of inspiration from a lot of my builds. I think I don't remember what my previous build was, but a lot of, I'm not sure if you saw the trailer for Aqualand, which I will be doing a full zoo tour very soon. I've been building on that. I've been working on that zoo off camera a lot. Well, you haven't seen any of it on this channel since I don't have any videos about it except for the trailer, because I actually started that zoo before I even started my YouTube channel. So that's basically the reason. And I thought there's no point in like continuing it on this channel halfway through the build, halfway through the zoo. I might as well just do the finished result on the channel, you know, big reveal. But obviously this video is not about Aqualand, but my point was that I got a lot of inspiration from Paradisa as well. It's simply because it's a very highly themed zoo. Probably one of the highly themed zoos I've seen ever, in Europe specifically, because I know that there's a lot in America and stuff as well, but I've never been to a zoos in America, so obviously I'm European. But yeah, I must say that it's probably the highest themed zoo I've ever been to, and that I know of personally. So yeah, Paradisa, that's where I got my inspiration from, because actually in Paradisa they have this huge, I think it's supposed to be a Southeast Asian or an Asian, or like an Indian rather, some kind of huge building. I'm not sure if it's supposed to be a religious building or just in general a large building, similar to how I have a mosque. And basically they have this big elephant enclosure in front. So I thought I can do something similar, but then maybe just split it up, have 2 species instead of 1, since, you know, we have to get some species going because there's a lot of species to go yet. So I'll do Dama Gazelles on the small half, and then a larger animal like the black rhinoceros, or maybe just the Addax or something, or the wild ass, I'll see. But a larger animal on the big side of the well, half. There's like a big path going in between, as you saw earlier. And then this, what I'm doing right now, is actually inspired from, oh, I forgot the zoo. I should have looked at the name of the zoo. But this is actually from a real like Dama enclosure. And they had this, it had this kind of, but it was different. It had like a staggered kind of layered look to it. There were absolutely no plants or anything. I do add plants, but it basically was like really tall at the back of the enclosure, and it basically went down in layers, in tiers, kind of, yeah. But I thought I'll do something like that, get some inspiration, but instead of obviously having it tall at the back and low at the bottom, I'll just do kind of like a tiered kind of hill in the middle of the enclosure. And only 2 tiers, but I thought it looked quite cool, makes it a bit more interesting and still realistic, because I'm trying to keep this zoo as realistic as possible, trying to make it feel like a zoo. So yeah, and well, that's like the end of the build, or the Dama Gazelle enclosure itself. I just add some plants. That's about it. Also, there's like a lot of corruption going on with my recordings. There's a lot of recording that I've missed, unfortunately. Same with the previous episode, and I think I fixed it, but unfortunately I fixed it a bit too late, so I've lost a lot of footage. I've been having this issue for a while, but I think I've fixed it completely now, and hopefully we won't run into this issue again, and hopefully I won't have to like just miss a load of footage that you can't see, because it's really unfortunate. There's a lot of bits that you just miss, but luckily not as much as the previous episode, since I've been keeping an eye on it this time, knowing that, you know, something could go wrong. So I've tried to minimize the corruption of my files. So yeah, but I think the rest of the build is just this diner, this cafe. But definitely don't click away, because actually it's quite an interesting build. I don't do interior usually. I've done one before for the Armadillo restaurant, and now I'm doing one here for the Dama Gazelles. I don't really enjoy doing interior. Obviously I've done it for the whole reptile house and for the like little info desk area of the butterfly house. But this is different because it's like a commercial area. You want it to feel like a building instead of like a zoo-esque looking thing, like a naturalistic thing. I actually want it to feel like a human-made structure, like how a building would actually look like. But I'm really bad at like interior. Exterior I enjoy doing, but interior I mostly just skip interior, make it so you can't look into the building. That's what I mostly do. But obviously, since you have to like enter the building, you know, because that's where the food courses are, I thought, you know, to make this build a bit more interesting, I'll do a little like interior build. And actually, I must admit, not to like obviously say I'm good or anything, but I must admit that it went quite well. I must say that I was quite proud of the finished result. Obviously it's not perfect, you know, as I said, I'm not good at interior, but I think it looks quite cozy. And I think one of the important things when doing interior, which obviously from my experience, is that, because obviously you don't want an open and boring room, what you want to do is obviously try to build custom flooring and stuff, as I'm doing right now. Try to think of a realistic flooring, like what would that floor look like in that circumstance. So I looked at a lot of images, most of it was just simple concrete floors, so I thought I'll do something like that and have a concrete floor. And then I wanted this big area where you order, like you have in a lot of fast food places, where you just have like the different desks where you can just go to and like order your food and stuff like that, and then you go back to your seat, you get your number, and you just wait until you get your food. I actually should have added some like number signs. That would have been quite cool. Now that I think about it, I didn't do that. I may add them before doing the actual walkthrough of this little build. And then I think another important thing of like making your open space a bit more interesting after adding the chairs, because obviously chairs make it a bit more build up, but still boring, let's be honest. I think a little tip that I want to give from what I did with this build is add a feature wall. What you want to do is you want to add something in the middle to break up the room into, like, I call it pseudo rooms. Like, they're not actually separate rooms, but they feel like separate rooms because there's like a feature wall going on in the middle or somewhere in the room to like break it up a bit. I think that's important, and that's what I'm doing right now. So what I'm adding is this feature wall. You can add some statues, some planters, some other things, what you can think of, some interesting shapes, whatever. Just a simple wall even is enough sometimes. But yeah, just adding this wall obviously makes it a bit more cozy, since it's not an open room. And it also, as I said, it breaks up the room a bit, and it makes it an interesting shape, because obviously a square is less interesting as whatever shape you create by adding this feature wall. And also something I did, which I usually don't do, is I built some custom like statues. No, they're not statues, they're like taxidermy animals, but they're not taxidermy because they're skulls. They're just skulls of animals, but you know, they have things like that in restaurants and stuff. I'm a bit ahead of myself because I'm talking faster than what I'm building in the speed build. But as you can see, yeah, here I attempt to do a custom like skull, imaginary animal. I didn't base off of any real animal except the fact that the animal has horns. But I didn't fancy like actually recreating an existing animal, since that would have been a lot of detailing. I just wanted to do like a vague resemblance of any ungulate with horns, any antelope or bovine or anything really. But yeah, there's like these African, I think they're called tusks or something, or claws. I think it's claws actually, now that I think about it. These African claw pieces are really cool because there's 3 different types. Like one curvy one like straighter one, and like a short one. So basically I can have 3 different species with like 3 different types of horns to distinguish them. So I have this one with the straight ones, the other one with the curvy ones, and then the middle one has like the short horns. And then also to give it like a nose, because obviously now it just has a round face, to give it more of a nose, I add 3 different pieces. Sorry, 3 different pieces. So just to distinguish the shape of the face for each skull, just to like show like these are different species, you know. So it kind of gives the idea that these are not the same species. Obviously the horns are different, but also the shape of the face is different by using a different piece for each skull. That's just, it's something simple. Obviously it's a vague resemblance of an animal. It's not actually a recreation of an existing species, but it looks good, you know. That's the most important part. And then some planters in between to make it a bit more interesting. And even made a custom tree, like a custom little plant, using the, I always forget the names. They're like from the Twilight Pack, those like root looking plants. I forget the name actually. It's like, I'm not even going to try to think of it. And then also those Australian, I should remember the plant names to be honest. Those like Australian grasses. I think it's like a grass or something. But yeah, that looks cool, I guess. And then finally, I'm adding some lights. I'm trying to make that look like how it probably would look like in real life as well. Just like these beams with lights attached to them. Nothing too fancy, but it looks realistic and it looks cool at the same time. So that's, I think, the most important part. And they're diagonal to give it a bit of like a a modernistic style to it, not too straight. You know, I want to give it a bit of a nice style. You know, even though it's quite boring structure, it's still like an interesting shape to it by just adding something that's like off grid or not aligned with the rest. And then finally, the most important part, obviously, you can't have a restaurant or a diner or a cafe or anything without tables and chairs. So I add some tables, I add some chairs, obviously. And an entrance from the butterfly house, so you can actually walk through there and into the little diner, which is quite cool. And a little sign as well. So just, you know, editing the building, the already existing building, and copying whatever I built there, because I didn't fancy building something new, and that works perfectly fine. You don't have to always build something new. You can easily just copy things that you've already built around your zoo. The actual doors, like the glass doors to enter the diner, it's also just copied from a different build. So, you know, stuff like that. You don't have to actually build something completely new every single time. I've reused some fences from throughout the zoo, reused some doors and stuff like that. You know, it's really good. You should definitely do stuff like that as well when you're building your zoo. It saves a lot of time, and if you've built it, you might as well just use it, right? And here, this is the tough part. It's path. I hate it. Path is just so annoying to do. As you can see, I'm not having the greatest of times, but I manage eventually to connect it all up and have it all functional and stuff like that. I add some enrichment items, and then we go outside and do all the stuff outside, because you have some seating areas, some planters, some a wall, so, you know, stuff like that. Some wild nature as well, but we'll see. And in the meantime, oh yeah, I think I'm gonna adjust a height just so it has a bit of a better view, since I thought it was a bit obstructed. Yeah, the Dama Gazelle. What more can I tell you about the Dama Gazelle? I don't really know a lot about the gazelle, but I must say it looks different. So that's at least one thing. It looks different from the other species that we have. I must say that the Thompson gazelle and the springbok, for me, hard to distinguish. I know them, I can tell the difference now, but if you just look at them, not only do they have like similar colors, same colors basically, they even have similar patterns, which is funny because they're not from the same genus, I think. If I remember correctly, from a completely different genus, yet they have the same patterning, the same like kind of eye shadow and stuff like that, or like the same stripe. Obviously, I know that the pattern on their face is different, but you know, it's generally the same, with the same kind of pattern they have on the side of their like torso. But the Dama Gazelle has a completely different coloration and a different pattern, so I really appreciate that they obviously added this species being this different, despite it being another antelope, or actually whatever, not technically not antelope, but you know what I mean. And these shades I add to make it look a bit more interesting, but also since, you know, this zoo is inside of Turkey, so it will get quite hot. You want some shade, so I add some shade as well. And yeah, just trying to create a nice shape, some nice details, and just copy it over. Simple as that. And then I think I build a different kind of shade as well, like a different shape for some other places as well. And I also add some plants, some planters, you'll see that, but besides that, nothing much. So all I can say is enjoy the rest of the speed builds, and I'll hear you again, or well, you'll hear me again when we're back at the live walkthrough of this build. So yeah, enjoy the rest of the speed build.
the theme of the song, it reflects like it's someone who's purpose-driven, who wants to do something and is eager to do it. No matter what happens, no matter what circumstances, kind of evokes some memories in me that I should have a purpose in life and live a purpose-driven life. That's all that matters. We saw as well that even the people who are working behind this project believe in people for who they are. It's an honor and we thank you a lot for it.
Alright, so welcome back, but this time from the guest's point of view, and let's just have a look at the Dama Diner. So this is the actual little plaza, and the mosque obviously, and oh actually, there's a sign of, well, saying that you're going to like the mosque area, but I still don't have a name for the mosque, so I'll have to think of one, or you can suggest one if you can think of something, but yeah, now it's just the mosque. And actually over here I have a place reserved for the curious little porcupines. So yeah, they'll go over here. But for now let's have a look at the Dama Diner. So we'll have a look over at the actual Dama Gazelles first. So as you can see, they have a small little enclosure and they already have babies. They're too quick. They're too quick. But yeah, so they have a little area where you can take a look. And as I said before, this area is a bit empty. There's stuff planned for the next build, but for now let's just look at the Dama Gazelles. I think there's a bit of water down there as well, yep. And yeah, so they're having a good old time. Little shades where they can lie under, so, and they definitely use it, they definitely enjoy the shade. And if we go over here, there's actually a little ramp. Let's say if they would fall in, they can still, like, you know, climb up there and get back onto land. So that's good for them. And you can go into the mosque, or like into the little shaded area of the mosque, and have a look at the Dama Gazelles here as well. This is virtually a 360 view of the Dama Gazelles, which I rarely do 360 views. And this is supposed to resemble, like, you know, renovation. It's an old building, it needs renovating often. So yeah, that's what's going on over there. But now let's actually have a look inside and discover this little diner that I've built for you guys. So yeah, the mosque is quite an imposing building, but if you go inside, it's not that big as this huge mosque, obviously. It's just a cute little diner, the Dama Diner. So let's have a look, let's go inside, and look at that. This is Dama Diner. I've added this sign as well, which is quite cool. Also a sign leading you to the to this area, which we've already seen before. And yeah, these are the three cool little statues, or like skulls that I've built. And you can go over here behind this wall and order your food. There's a nice space for a waiting line, a nice little feature wall there and feature wall there, and then the big central feature wall in the middle to break up this area. And yeah, so it's a small eating area on the inside, a huge area for the outside, assuming there would be a lot of guests. Let's do the famous thing and actually go into nighttime. So let's just have a look at that, shall we? Okay, so welcome at Dama Diner at night, and as you can see, I've added a load of lights. There's dark places as well, but you know, most people are asleep at night and not visiting zoos anyway. But yeah, I've tried to make it look as cozy as possible at nighttime as well. I've added loads of light everywhere, around the drapery and stuff. The actual enclosure is back, you know, the animals want to sleep, so you can give them that luxury as well. If you go into the dam with Rhino, it's just simple, it's just these lights lighting up. So yeah, I guess that just feels like how it should feel, like a nice little diner at night. So yeah, I hope you enjoyed this speed build, and we'll definitely catch you in the next episode, which will, I don't know, maybe Black Rhinoceros, we'll see. But yeah, I'll see you in the next episode, or maybe I'll see you when I do the walkthrough of Aqualand. If you've not seen the trailer, definitely watch the trailer, because it's out on my channel. There's even 2 versions. So I'll see you then. Bye bye.